Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Well, my guest today on Private Club Radio is Gavin Robinson, Professional Development Manager at the Golf Club Managers Association, the GCMA in the UK. So, Gavin, welcome to Private Club Radio, sir.
Thank you, Gabe. Pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I've enjoyed learning from you guys, and I actually got to participate on a webinar that you guys had during this whole crisis. You guys have done really well throughout the COVID-19 crisis to keep clubs informed and up to speed and really be a leader over there. So my hat's off to you guys. I'd love to just get a little bit of your background, Gavin. What led you to the role that you're in now?
Yeah, thank you very much, Gabe, for that. My history is a long story. I'll try and be as brief as possible. I started playing golf in Northern Ireland when I was 9 years old, fell in love with the game immediately, and played it up till I was 18. I was almost professional level at that time. But growing up in Northern Ireland in the 80s wasn't a great experience for those of you who've heard of the Troubles. So priority of mine was to leave Northern Ireland when I was 18, and without any golf scholarships being available at that time, or no internet either to know anything more about where I could access that, I went to study in England and did a degree in logistics. And after that, I decided to go back to golf. So I studied with the PGA. I qualified as a PGA professional in 1999. And after that, I got an opportunity to go and work in Mexico as a golf pro. So I was young, free and single, and thought I'd go out for 6 months, see what I thought. I started my first port of call in Mexico was Mexico City in a private members club called Bosque Real Country Club. And, well, absolutely mind-blowing place. At that time, it was the largest clubhouse in the world.
Wow.
I was coming from Ireland in February and arriving in Mexico. So you can imagine the first week there wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was starting to question if they have clouds there. So it's a great country. So, an extremely impressive first week in Mexico. Actually, we had a Champions Tour event that week, and I was a starter. That was my first job there, was starting a Champions Tour event. So I stayed there for 5 years. I started as director of instruction, and then after a year, they made me director of golf. I got married there as well, which was a fantastic experience for all my family coming over from the UK. And other
Did you
places.
marry someone from Mexico there, or was it another?
I did, yes. My wife is Mexican, and
cool.
So
how's your Spanish, Gavin?
Well, I made it a priority. Being a golf teacher, communication is key. Butch Harmon was my favorite, teacher, and when he was teaching with Tiger, it was really communication. I felt it wasn't that his technical knowledge was superior to everybody else; it was how he communicated. So I felt that was a priority. And so I was bringing Spanish into my golf lessons within 6 months. So after a year, I was then put in charge of 36 staff and 160 caddies. So I learned the language pretty quickly. So that was good. So after that, I got headhunted for another project in Guadalajara, which was a Jack Nicklaus signature course called El Rio. Absolutely fabulous design. But unfortunately, that project suffered from about three major issues. Its location was quite difficult to get to. It was maybe 20 miles outside of the city on a very, very busy road, especially during holiday time. It was the main route to Puerto Vallarta, for those of you who know that fantastic coastal town. It also had a problem with water. So temperatures in the summertime got up to about 40 degrees, and that really affected the other problem that I had was the grass type that was put down. It was ryegrass with bent. So ryegrass in those sorts of temperatures, the only way is to keep it wet, to keep it alive. So after 5 years there, I took on a different project in Querétaro, which is about 2 hours northwest of Mexico City, a public golf course, which actually was my burning ambition when I was in Mexico, was to do a public golf course. There were rumors of it while I was at Bosque Real. I certainly put my hand up for that role, but it never materialized. So the opportunity to do a public golf course in Mexico City was for me the best way that they're going to grow the game there. I mean, we had such a buzz about Lorena Ochoa at that time, and from 2003 to 2013, 2014, while I was there. But they didn't have the infrastructure, didn't have enough golf courses to take advantage of that. So the game wasn't actually growing through that time. So I felt if I could make a success of a public golf course, then other investors would take note of that and start and replicate that model, hopefully throughout the country. So I did that for 5 years, and it went very well. Absolutely, had the golf course absolutely full. We broke even after 3.5 years, and so it was good. But my time came to an end there, and came back to the UK with family, 2 daughters, and my wife. Brought them all back to the lovely weather in the UK in the middle of Brexit crisis. And started trying to find my way again, make up some old connections. After 15 years, it's you don't have that many connections left. So it took some time to find my place and my role here, and quite a lot of networking, and eventually I got this role with the GCMA. So I'm absolutely delighted to have this role as professional development manager in charge of education. Obviously, I'm originally a teacher. But now, making sure that the general managers have the education and training that they need to stay at the top of their game. So that's where I am, and that's where we're going.
How big is the GCMA right now? How many clubs or managers are members of the organization right now?
We have 1,600 general managers, and if you think of the amount of golf facilities within the UK, that's over 50%. So we've got a very good membership.
Yeah. What are some of the hot button topics? Like, what are some of the things that you see that your managers could really use some improvement on, or that they're looking to learn in their career path?
Well, I certainly think some of the trends in the UK market are trying to put the golf club back at the centre of the community, which is basically where it started. When there was the explosion of building of golf courses around the turn of the 20th century. Golf courses at that time were part of, they were an amenity basically for a local development. And so, but somehow we've lost a lot of those golf courses. They've sold up for residential and moved out of town, and perhaps lost a little bit of that community spirit. So that's certainly one of the topics, is trying to get golf back at the center of the community. Another extremely important topic at the moment is that of well-being. It's obviously with the amount of change that we're going through at the moment with COVID-19, general managers have really they've stepped up to the plate. There's no question about it. They've often been the only member of staff, or perhaps with 2 greenkeepers, basically to look after the club through the period of lockdown. So very, very stressful and busy time. And that's really where our webinar series came in to support them. And so they didn't feel quite so lonely. It is actually a very lonely job, general manager, as a lot of your listeners will know. You get it from all sides. You're not really friends with anybody. So it can be difficult. So that network and community within our own general managers is absolutely key. And hopefully appreciated. I think from the comments that we've had that it has been so. Yeah, so that would be another big issue. Yeah, the well-being side of it.
Yeah, I bet you had hundreds of people on some of those webinars, so that was definitely, there was some craving for community there, which is good to see. I want to take it back to your first point there, where you talked about how clubs in England and in the UK kind of started off as community amenities for the local towns that they belonged in. How do you think we can get back to that? And how do you think that private clubs in the United States, what lessons could we learn from that model that might help us here?
I'm not so sure that we can teach you guys that much, to be honest. I think you're pretty much switched on. I mean, obviously, I've had quite a few visits to the States and some different clubs. I can remember playing Pelican Hill on the West Coast around Los Angeles. Absolutely fabulous resort, golf clubs, courses. So certainly, as regards revenue streams, I think the resorts and golf clubs in the States are an awful lot more aware than we are here. And really, focusing on member engagement is certainly a key over there. Over here, things are a little bit different. I think the location obviously determines an awful lot of what you can do, what you can't do. So if you are in one of those out of town sites, then you're going to have to bring people out to you. But certainly, it is it's not rocket science. It's making contact with the schools. It's perhaps opening your doors to the local community, perhaps one day a week, so as people can come in and have a look around and see what you have, and that can obviously be a controlled environment. We don't want people coming in with their motorbikes over the greens and stuff. So, but it's certainly charities, golf charity days. You guys do an awful lot of great work for charity as well, and maybe not so much ourselves, although we do have a very strong charity network, but perhaps golf could do a little bit more for that within the local communities. And it really is, it's more of an open door policy. It's that's really what we need. It's, we do like the private members clubs to be private, but at what expense? I think it's, I think the acceptance of the golf club within the community is much more important. And it's something that we've seen through this crisis. Golf in the UK has come out quite well, and certainly as regards on the political side, they've recognised that golf is one of the sports that really did come together as an industry to put forward their case to be reopened as the first sport to do so. And as a result, we've got an awful lot of interest in memberships at the moment, which is really where we want things to go with golf clubs. We do have a slight problem with the nomadic golfer and the growth of the nomadic golfer over the membership. But I think, and the golf clubs who are coming out of this crisis fairly intact are the ones with high revenue through their membership subscriptions. So I think there's definitely safety there, and that's really just reinforcing the best business model that we have in golf going forward.
Yeah. Let's talk about the nomadic golfer, because I think there's a cautionary tale there. And obviously your model is slightly different there in the UK, where golf club membership might be an annual subscription rather than an initiation fee. But there's a lot of clubs here in the United States, at least last time there was an economic downturn, that they dropped their initiation fees. And then what happens is you get yourself into a position where there are a lot more nomadic golfers, because they're just jumping from one offer to the next. And so what were some of the lessons you've learned there in the UK by the way that business has been run, and how can we caution some of the clubs here to stay away from those things, Gavin?
Yeah, I certainly think this is really just my opinion more than anything, more than fact. But from what I could see and from what I could observe, there was certainly a case of a race to the bottom within green fees, trying to attract these nomadic golfers into your club, and third-party resellers of tee time. So, so all those sorts of initiatives that came aboard, they were as a result of perhaps private members clubs not doing as good a job as they should have been doing in trying to attract people to their club, and also dropping the price, as you say, removing the initiation or joining fee. Probably was a mistake, but when you're struggling for players, I think the first place that most boards, who are normally volunteers, and I think the first thing they look at is the price. So instead, really, I mean, I think the answer was more the member engagement and adding value to the membership. Obviously, designing your membership with features and selling the benefits to them, and making membership accessible that way, but not really, trying to maintain your price and your joining fee as much as possible. And so we also have a big issue here at the moment as well with England Golf. England Golf is the governing body for amateur golf in England. So they are supporting the nomadic golfer and offering to give the nomadic golfer a handicap for a fee. They will administer a handicap for a fee, so they can go and play golf clubs and play in golf club competitions through their handicap. And they also obviously are administering the World Handicapping System that's coming in November here. So that for the private members clubs, that's obviously and our general managers, our members, that is a real bone of contention. We're not particularly happy about it. We don't think it's the right way to go. I think that this crisis has shown us the pathway, that what is the right way to go is to try and get as many golfers into membership. Of course, there's always a place for a public golf course. There's always a place for a Top Golf and adventure golf and all sorts of different golfing options out there for people who are just with a different mindset. But those who actually play golf regularly, we really should try and make them members.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the COVID-19 crisis and how clubs handled it there, and what are some of the long-lasting impact of what we learned from this?
Yeah, I think, again, going back to the financial side, which I think was, which is obviously the bottom line, as we say. So I think trying to avoid giving membership holidays. I think that was quite key as well. A lot of members were asking for a 3-month holiday if they weren't getting the service that they were paying for. So I think we took the line that, well, you're actually only damaging yourself if you do that, because at the end of the day, you're a member of this club and the club is yours. So if the less money you put into it, it's at the end of the day where the club's going to have to cut costs to break even, and that'll be reflected in reducing the service that you'll receive. So I think that sort of message, we tried to get that out to as many clubs and members as possible, so the finances of the club wouldn't be hit that hard. Again, there's quite a few clubs out there who rely very, very heavily on food and beverage for turnover, so they're going through a difficult time at the moment as regards turnover. I'm not quite sure profit. There's not that many clubs in the UK, I don't think, who turn a great profit from food and beverage. So again, I don't think it's going to affect that side of things, but definitely it's a difficult time. I think, and also just some of the habits as well that we have, or maybe perhaps traditions or bad habits, whatever you want to call them. It's really just, there's also been tea times a little bit more spread out. So they're going to 10-minute intervals now between tea times. We've been playing for 2 balls for the last 2 weeks. And, there's an awful lot of members who are very, very happy with that. And, we're getting around the golf course in 3 hours or less. And, it's almost a throwback to the olden times when you turn up in the car park, change your shoes from the boot of your car, and go straight out to the course, play 9 holes. You're in an hour and 15, hour and a half, and then you're gone. So there's a lot of people who have actually enjoyed that. So, and the focus on membership, again, at the moment, most private members clubs are not allowing visitors or guests for at least for the first sort of month, just to give priority to the members and make sure that they have the opportunity to play as much as they want, until this crisis passes. So it's, there's the virtual side as well was something that we talked about, and I think that was one of the key takeaways from your webinar that you did with us, and that went down extremely well with our members. Thank you very much, Gabe. But certainly the virtual options that you can bring to the membership, just to keep them engaged with the club when you're going through a difficult time. There's certainly options or opportunities there for the future as well to bring more technology into the golf club, whether it be a simulator, whether it be a quiz night or a Zoom quiz or Kahoots or whatever other option there is. there's also the idea that if your clubhouse is being occupied for a wedding or a large event and the members can't actually go to the clubhouse, which is the case at the moment, then solve that, keep the members engaged through the virtual side and the technology side. So there's an awful lot of innovation that's going on at the moment to cope with the crisis, and hopefully some of those will keep going long afterwards. We certainly think that's very likely.
Are any of the clubs there starting to limit guest play? I know here, like a lot of clubs are now, at least the private clubs, are members only and their family. Is that how it is there as well in some of the clubs?
Yeah, I'm privy, obviously, to what's going on in a lot of golf clubs through the membership, and generally the focus has been on members. I think sort of within the next week or two, guests will start to be allowed into those private members clubs at the request of members. I mean, it's a member-driven initiative to let them back, because the members are okay. We can now mix with one other person from another household under government guidelines. So I would like to invite my friend back to come and play the course, if that's okay. So that's certainly coming on board. Visitors are still really not on the radar of that many. There are quite a few golf clubs who do rely quite heavily on visitor green fee. So they will be pushing that, but they're getting pushback from their members, because the members are enjoying having their course back in a limited form. So there's a trade-off there also. So I think that's again pushing golf clubs towards the membership side of things, and the benefit of perhaps 80% membership, 20% visitor green fee in societies, and keep it that as a maximum really going forward long term.
Yeah. So if folks want to learn more about the GCMA or potentially get involved with the organization, what's the best way to do that, Gavin?
Well, you can contact myself, obviously. I'm always happy to answer an email. My email is gavin@gcma.org.uk. You can go on our website, which is gcma.org.uk. I'm pretty sure. So but it's the first thing that'll come up on Google. If you type in golf club management, boom, GCMA comes up. So I mean, we're going through a lot of change as an association at the moment. We're expecting a new CEO to join us within the next month to 6 weeks. We have an outgoing CEO who'll be leaving sometime in early August. So there's that transition, there's that handover to go through. The board is also changing at the moment as well, so we'll be having a new chairman on the board. And so again, we're going through a lot of change at the moment, and the competitive environment is increasing. We have a few issues that we're going to have to combat in future. But I think really what we're trying to do at the GCMA is to make ourselves better. There's whatever the competitive environment is, the better we are at what we do, I think that our members are going to stick with us, and they're going to spread the word. They're going to become our promoters. So I think throughout the COVID crisis, we've responded to a need, which is one of the key things that we do, is to support the membership. But we also need to educate them. So I'm working very hard on putting together education programs that are right up to date, easily consumable, because general managers tend to work 50 to 60 hours a week. It's not easy for them to take a week off and go and do a course or do a 3-year diploma while they're working. So I'm trying to facilitate or attend to that need as well. And also to represent. Fortunately, the GCMA has a seat at the top table in golf within the UK. We work very closely with the RNA, with the Greenkeeper Association here, BIGA, also with the PGA and the golfing unions. And so, we're there to represent the members as well, and put their voice forward, make sure that it's getting heard at the highest levels, also even within government. So as we have been doing for the last 2 or 3 months. So that's where we're going. Exciting times, definitely. being a general manager is, for me, it's the pinnacle of your career. Where do you go after that? I mean, for me, I was a PGA pro. I went to director of golf, and after director of golf, I went to golf club general manager, and I thought, okay, but that's it. I've reached the top of the tree. Buck stops here. So, well, almost. So we all know about control and responsibilities. So I'm absolutely passionate about the role itself, and making sure that our general managers get the best service that they possibly can.
Awesome. One last thought I want you to leave us with. What's your long-term outlook for golf in the UK?
I think very positive, Gabe. I think golf, even though this is a terrible time, and my heart goes out to you guys over there as well. I know you're suffering dreadfully with this crisis. We are too. It almost seems like it's sort of picked on the freest of societies, which is a bit unfair, I think. So, it is a terrible time, and there's an awful lot of things that are going on that are an awful lot more important than golf. However, golf has been shown as a release, as an outlet. It's something that you can do safely. It's good physical exercise. It's good mental exercise. Keeps you emotionally stable, and it's a challenge, and it's a sport. So, I think the positive things that are coming out of golf, it's getting people's attention at the moment. So there is a little bit of momentum, and I think hopefully that as an industry, and we can promote that, and try and feed that momentum little by little. Obviously, as we know, it's a sensitive time, but I think we can certainly push our game forward, and hopefully come out the other end of this crisis in a stronger position than we went into.
Yeah, I think you're right on there, sir. I appreciate your time, Gavin. Thanks for joining us here on Private Club Radio, and I wish you a great rest of your bank holiday today.
Thank you very much, Gabe. Same goes to you guys. Happy Memorial Day, and look forward to catching up with you soon.
Private Club Radio is brought to you by Concert Golf Partners, helping to preserve and enhance private golf and country clubs. Visit concertgolfpartners.com to learn more about the recapitalisation process.